Alright, so in this video I want to talk about Bitcoin adoption, and I want to talk about the criticism around Bitcoin adoption, and I want to tell you why do I think that Bitcoin is getting a massive adoption in 2021, and it's really getting to that critical stage where the S curve of the penetration of the market penetration is getting close to get early big adoption and a big acceleration in terms of adoption from the public. First of all, what I want to say is that I'm not a financial advisor. I think I'm supposed to say these kind of things, right? I'm not a financial advisor. This video is only for educational purposes, and this is only my personal opinion. Only my personal opinion and not financial advice at all. So don't buy Bitcoin because you watch this video. You really need to do your homework and research. Okay, but I want to start with the institutional adoption, okay? And you see different cases in the market. You see, for example, big insurance funds like Mass Mutual that are supposed to be very conservative companies now buying Bitcoin. Mass Mutual is a 169 years old company that just invested $100 million US dollars in Bitcoin. Just invested, I mean, invested in December 2020, but this is a very interesting sign of the big adoption from part of institutional investors. So Bitcoin is not only now for private investors, crazy people that like to gamble or so on, right? It's also for financial institutions and actually very conservative financial institutions. Then after these institutional investors, you have the custodian services. So you have these payment services and custodian like PayPal, Square, and Grayscale going big into crypto. Okay, so you can now buy your Bitcoin using the PayPal app or Square. Just a side note, when you use PayPal to buy Bitcoin, you are actually not buying Bitcoin. You are buying probably like a contract that represents Bitcoin because you don't control Bitcoin. You only buy Bitcoin when you fully control Bitcoin, okay? But it's interesting also to see these payment gateways and custodian also accepting now Bitcoin, and they are big ones, right? PayPal, for example, they have over 300 million users. Okay, can you imagine like now 300 million people can actually use the PayPal app to buy Bitcoin. It's going for sure to drive the demand. And only PayPal and Grayscale, for example, together, they buy more Bitcoin than the current supply of new minted coins. Okay, so the amount of newly minted Bitcoins in 2021 through the mining, so whatever is the increased supply of Bitcoin is being totally absorbed by PayPal and Grayscale and Square alone. Okay, Square bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin, which is also very good. Then you have the adoption from normal companies, especially from the S&P 500 companies, big companies, right? As you probably have heard before, cash is trash, and cash now is even more rotten trash than it used to be, because the central banks are printing more and more cash. You know, the 20 or 30% now, I'm not sure, of the all the US dollars printed ever were printed last 1 year. The demand is the same, and the supply of fiat currency, pretty much all the fiat currencies in the world, US dollar, British pounds, euro, Chinese renminbi, everything it's being like they are really debasing the currency. So the central banks are printing, flooding the market with their currency. And basically, what it happens is that if you hold to this currency, you are just going to lose value because there is much more supply and for the same demand. So companies now need to turn their cash flow, their balance sheet into Bitcoin. So they need to find an asset that it's uncorrelated or it has inverse correlation with inflation, which is what everyone is afraid of, inflation. And so many companies are betting that Bitcoin is a good edge against inflation. One of these companies is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy have been buying a shit ton of Bitcoin. I actually just Google searched this information, and MicroStrategy owns an amount of approximately $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. And if there is a company like MicroStrategy doing this bet, probably they are right and they know something, okay? You also have, like, for example, ARK, Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood, they have their own crypto and Bitcoin research, and they are also strongly betting on Bitcoin. And according to Cathie Wood, the Bitcoin price is likely to go to $500,000. And you also have more and more companies accepting Bitcoin as a payment. Regarding the Bitcoin adoption for payments, is still lagging behind for a few reasons, but I believe that it's going to pick up in the near future, okay? There are many companies starting to accept Bitcoin. As everyone knows, Tesla was starting to accept Bitcoin, was accepting Bitcoin for a period of time, so you could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, but then Elon Musk, because of the environmental concerns, decided to stop accepting Bitcoin. Probably there was also some political pressures. I'm sure he didn't take this decision by himself. I'm sure the board of directors and force him to force Tesla to stop accepting Bitcoin. But anyway, you have more and more companies and merchants accepting Bitcoin as a means of payment. And in the S curve, so if you look at the chart of the adoption, we are still in the early adopter stage, okay? When you have a product, no matter what's the product, internet or a telephone or a mobile network, you always have like these early adopters that take the first steps to adopt the technology. And we are still in this phase, like less than 5% of the world population, way less than that, use Bitcoin or have Bitcoin. But we are reaching a stage where we have enough critical mass for this adoption to start accelerating, and an early majority that represents, I don't know, maybe 30 to 40% of the population starts using Bitcoin. And once everyone has Bitcoin, the payment gateways are going to start to accept Bitcoin, and other infrastructure like the Lightning Network is also going to facilitate the payments in the Bitcoin network. Currently, a payment, if I send a peer-to-peer payment on the Bitcoin network, sometimes the transaction fees are a little bit high. So at the moment, Bitcoin is not ideal to pay coffee or to pay for a meal, because I don't want to pay $10 transaction fee to pay a $5 coffee. Totally makes sense. However, there is this little thing called the Lightning Network that allows to do fast and very cheap payments with very cheap transaction fees, and these payments can be settled in seconds. Now, the Lightning Network is not fully adopted yet. You can do payments, you can use like some specific wallets to open these Lightning Network channels, but you need more critical mass, you need more people adopting this Lightning Network. And at the same time, to be honest, like, Bitcoin is more like a reserve of value. Bitcoin is not supposed to be a payment system. Okay, there are other cryptocurrencies that are way faster and way cheaper to make payments. Bitcoin is more like a layer one solution where you can do a transaction with a very, very high degree of certainty. Okay, I can send 10 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin to the other side of the world, and I know that as soon as this transaction is included in a block, that transaction is settled in the blockchain forever and cannot be changed. And this degree of assurance only Bitcoin can give you to you. Okay, it's this degree of assurance, of confidence, of trust that Bitcoin is so good for. Okay, I can send a transaction $1,000, $100,000, or 100 million, no matter what's the amount. I'm going to pay always the same transaction fee, and I can be 1,000% sure that this transaction is going to be settled in the network. And you don't need a middleman to do this. You don't need a bank or a remittance company. You don't need anyone else. And for the first time, you can do this in a peer-to-peer fashion. Or you can keep your wealth, I don't know, either you have $1,000 or $100 million, you can keep your wealth in Bitcoin, and you don't need to rely in a centralized party. Meaning that you can basically be your own bank. So there are other solutions out there to do payments. You can either use other cryptocurrencies, or you can wait for the Lightning Network to be more widely adopted. Or there are even other options out there. You should take a look at, for example, Wrapped Bitcoin. There are a few projects in the Ethereum blockchain where they are tokenizing Bitcoin. So you can transact Bitcoin tokens, basically the same as Bitcoin, on the Ethereum blockchain. Now you can tell me, yeah, but Ethereum transaction fees are also very high, and that's true. Yes, that's true. But the Ethereum network is transacting, doing the transition to Ethereum 2.0, and once they do this transition, the transaction fees are also going to be way lower, and it's going to be much fast and way to transact. So it's pretty much, you can see it like this. Once the Ethereum 2.0 is fully implemented, you can transact Bitcoin tokens on the Ethereum network and participate in decentralized finance and do payments using this tokenized Bitcoin on the Ethereum network with very, very low transaction fees. And this is going to boost even more the Bitcoin demand, because people are going to be buying Bitcoin to tokenize it so that you can transact it on the Ethereum blockchain. And there are other blockchains doing this. I've heard about, if I'm not wrong, Tron. There is a project also tokenizing Bitcoin on Tron, so you could send Bitcoin tokens on the Tron network, where the transaction fees are also extremely low. So yes, I think we are in a tipping point. We are in a moment where everything is flipping. Bitcoin is going to get a mass adoption very early. This is motivated by institutional investors and by the fact that governments keep printing money, increasing the supply of cash out there. And people, where are people going to put the money? You can either leave it at the bank and just basically you are losing money because of the inflation, or you can buy Bitcoin, because other assets are denominated in US dollars. You buy stocks, your stocks go up 20%, you think you are doing money? Probably you are not. Probably you are actually losing money if your stocks are going up 20%, because actually the denomination is in US dollar, and your US dollar is getting really hit really hard because of the money printing and the inflation that we are going to suffer. So yeah, we have institutional investors, governments printing money. You have more and more projects adopting using Bitcoin. You have decentralized finance, which is tokenizing Bitcoin, and there are billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin already tokenized on the Ethereum blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain is going to move to 2.0, meaning that the transaction fees are going to be way smaller, and people are going to be able to transact more and more and more Bitcoin and actually do payments with Bitcoin. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting future, and I think that institutional investors are going to continue to adopt it. So let's see, let me know what do you think. Again, just to close this video, this is not financial advice, but I hope that you have enjoyed the video, and let's catch up again soon. I will be talking about blockchain, crypto, and the future of finance in fintech.